I want to talk about the type of tantrums that you have, that the children have when it's not it's not really their fault per se. It's not something out of malice. They're not trying to get something. They're not trying to. They don't know what they want. So when you have a toddler, sometimes tantrums are fueled by just being exhausted. Sometimes they're just overtired. Sometimes they're hungry. Sometimes they really don't want to be in the store anymore, or they've been too many places that day and they're just done. Sometimes they're having a huge emotion and they don't know why, and they're just flipping out for what appears to be absolutely no reason whatsoever. And those types of tantrums, while embarrassing, are not necessarily disciplinarian acts. You have to kind of respond to those with some compassion, because they're little and they just don't know what to do with their feelings. They don't know how to look at you and say, I'm completely overwhelmed and miserable and I'm unhappy and I don't know what to do with that. They just sit down and scream. Yes, I see another one of me talking. Rose, I can see you in the chat box, but I don't see you up as an attendant. I mean, what I would do if I were you is I would completely log out of everything and then log back into your personal Twitter. Sorry. We will get this straight. We will. So like I was saying, you have to almost take a step back in that moment, because I mean, I've been there. I'll tell a story. I not that long ago, I guess it was about a month ago, we're in the grocery store, and my younger daughter is 3, and we had come from her preschool, and she loves books, so she decided she wanted to carry her book with her through the store as we were shopping, which fine. So she gave her something to hold. It kept her from asking for anything else, pretty much. So I was fine with that. That was a nice plus. So we go through the whole store. We shop. Everything's fine. She did really well. And then we get to the checkout, and she decides she wants to pay for her book. And her book is, like I said, from her school. We don't need to buy it, but I know the cashier. I live in a small town. And so I just spelled out, like, it's from her school. Can you please pretend to check it out? So that's what happened. And it was hilarious because she asked if she could check it out. And so she pretended to check it out. It was really funny. She did a really good job of making it bloop because she kind of scanned it with something else. And then, so she scanned it with something else, and then she put it in the bag. And I think I bought goldfish as well. So she scanned the goldfish, put those in the bag, picked the bag up, handed it to her and said, "Thank you for shopping with us, madam." And my daughter burst into tears, sat down in the floor, and just lost it. And I'm thinking, what is the problem? Like, she just gave, like, you just got what you wanted. Like, I don't understand. So she's sitting in the floor screaming. There's, yes, hit call in, Rose. There we go. Yay. Okay, so she's sitting in the floor screaming, right? There's a line of probably 10 people behind us because we went through the express checkout. I didn't have that many things. So it's a long line, and everyone's looking at me, and I'm sitting there thinking, like, are you kidding right now? Like, and I'm thinking, I'm picturing this in my mind as, like, how do I get out of the store? how do I just get her out of the store? Because this is ridiculous. And we still can't see you, by the way, Rose. And so I picture in my mind my options. My options are I somehow wrestle her into the cart and push her out that way. I don't think that will go well. Then I think, okay, do I sit in the, like, I don't want to sit in the floor and talk to her there because, again, long line, we're literally blocking the checkout. So I don't want to do that. And then I think, okay, I can't. So she's sitting on the floor. The lady, I just kind of laughed. I looked at the people behind me and I was like, no idea. I don't know why. Sorry. We'll figure it out. And I was like, do y'all have kids? This is how it goes. And the woman behind me was like, I have a dog. I was like, yeah, you look young. You should keep the dog for a while. And I just kind of laughed it off to them. And I got down at her level and I said, you know, what is wrong? She would not, she was just too melted down. So I pick up all my groceries, put them in the floor beside her, take my cart, put it away as fast as possible. Yay, it's you. So happy. I put my cart away as fast as possible. I grab all my stuff. I grab her in a football hold and she's kicking and screaming. And I just walk out. The store. And she goes, I want to walk. So I put her down. But she's still crazy. She's just crazy. She's out of her mind. She's screaming. She's carrying on. So I sit her down on the bench outside and I'm like, what is wrong? Just tell me what's wrong so I can help you. You know, no. It's just, that's. So I said, okay, sit on the bench. You're going to sit on the bench. So then she hit me. So I said, now you're in timeout. And I got all my bags. I walk away. She's sitting in timeout on this bench outside. People are walking by. People are looking at me. I personally don't care that people are looking at me because this is important, you know? It's more important than other people feeling uncomfortable that my kid's having a meltdown. Like, they're going to have to deal. They're big people. They can put on their big girl britches and deal with it because my kid's more important than that. And she's not going to hit me and get away with it no matter what's going on. So this has now become an important lesson. So anyways, so I stick to my guns. I put her in timeout. And then I kind of get uncomfortable with the fact that she's on a bench and I'm keeping my distance, but there are cars not that far away. So she hadn't moved, but I just got that uneasy feeling of like, this could really go sour in a minute. So I thought I need to move her to the car. So I move her to the car. I get all my stuff. I run to the car and I said, you're still in timeout. And I put her in her seat. I turned the car on and got the air going, and let it, you know, so it wouldn't be hot. And then I shut the door and I just walked. I took like 2 steps away from the car because I was like, I can't even. She hit me the whole time. So it ended up, let me just tell you why she flipped out. She flipped out because she didn't think the woman had given her her book back. The woman had handed her the book and the goldfish in the bag to her. She decided that that's not what had happened, and she just flipped out. So when I showed her that it was in the bag, she was like, oh. And I said, we need to go apologize to that woman because, no, you can't. I was like, honey, if you had just said, where's my book? Just, where's my book? But, you know, they don't have the language. They don't have the language that they need sometimes. So I showed her where it was. She goes, oh. I could tell she felt really foolish and awful, but still, I was like, so you flipped out, you hit me, all for this book that you had the whole time. So we apologized to the lady. And, you know, it's just one of those things where there was no reason for it other than I'm 3 and I'm 3.
Well, at least she has some language skills. I think it's like, some, you know, she's able to communicate with you. I mean, you know, my little guy's only 18 months and he's just, I can tell,
I think that's the roughest age.
The hardest. And, for me, if I have my husband with me, then one of us can take him and leave. I think the most challenging times are when being alone in public with your toddler, because, sometimes, more often than not, you can pick up your kiddo and leave. Yeah. You have a 16-month-old, Christy, so you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I know, Laura, I mentioned this to you, but I travel a lot because my husband's a pilot, so we travel a lot. And I've made just a new rule that I do not travel without him, at least not now, not until Paxton gets more he can talk more, because last time I traveled recently with him alone, we were in a long security line, which for any toddler, that's just horrible. And he just, he wanted to leave. We couldn't.
And you can't, you cannot get out in that situation.
That is a situation that I cannot leave. I need to make my flight, need to get through security.
Yep.
So he just laid down on the ground and he just went for it. Just screaming and kicking and bright red faced and shaking fists and tears just streaming. And I'm like, I can see that the TSA agent's kind of looking over at me like, and at that point I can feel I'm fair skinned. So when I blush and get nervous, it's very obvious.
Same here.
And finally I was just like, I looked around at everyone. I'm like, I'm sorry. And I was very grateful. Most people were like totally cool about it. And but it's like, and I just had to let him do it. There's nothing, he had to cry it out. And I think that's something I definitely struggle with, is just getting embarrassed and feeling like I have to apologize, and knowing that everyone else around me did not choose to come and witness this display.
Your kid's meltdown. That's I think, and I've been through this once before. I have a 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been through this, the public meltdowns a lot. And now I have a 3-year-old as well. And so I've been where you've been. I apologize as well, because, it's like there's loud noise. No one likes it. So it's like, I'm sorry I brought this person.
Well, and have you ever witnessed somebody not being so nice? I have. I've had the experience where someone was making snide remarks, and that just does not.
Yeah, I've had that as well.
Not help.
I've had people be like, "Why did you bring? Why did you? Why don't you leave them at home? Why don't you blah blah?" And it's like, because they didn't, because they're here, But I guess for me, I have found that humor works for me when I'm in that situation. I'm like, don't you hate grocery shopping? Isn't it the worst? And I'll look around, because everybody's looking at you anyway. You've got the floor, So it's like, it's like in your situation, I probably would have looked up and been like, man, this line really does suck. I can't help it. And I still would apologize. Like, I'm sorry, but the security line's way too long, people, or something. But like, I find that when I personally am in control, that people can tell that I am not losing it, that I am in control, people respond better. I think that's something that if you can convey, I am fine. I am not flustered. I am not panicked. I am in control of the situation, even though it's out of control. I'm okay. It kind of calms people down. But like with an 18-month-old, or even 16 months, any child that's mobile, that cannot communicate, that is the hardest stage, in my opinion, because they're everywhere and they don't understand you. And
their emotions are just as big and powerful as ours are, but we're able to talk about it. So it's like these huge emotions in a little tiny body, that they haven't figured out how to, to communicate that.
So when he was on the floor, he's screaming in the middle of the security line. You can't pick him up and leave. What did you do next? Yes, of course you let him cry. There's nothing. He needed to.
What was really great is, and this completely opened up my eyes because, I'm a first time parent. I've definitely been on the other side of being that person witnessing, and I remember thinking things like, oh man, why is that kid being so
loud? Get control of your child. I'll never let my kid act like that in public.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, just admittedly, I feel bad even admitting that, but I definitely was that person. And in this situation, it was really great because I had all the stuff I was trying to carry. I had a really heavy backpack. I was trying to carry him, my purse. And I remember there was a gentleman behind me, and I think he might have been like in the military or something. I don't know. But he came up and he helped me. He grabbed my bag, kind of put it up on the, the security, whatever that, pushed it through. It didn't say anything to me. And I turned around, got all my stuff through, and I was like, oh my gosh, thank you so much. And he's kind of like, and walked off. And it was just kind of like, it definitely opened up my eyes too. If you're witnessing that in public, the best thing you can do is to just, help. Don't even ask, just help. Lend a hand and get them through, because
even people just smiling at you is kind of nice. Like, as like, not the, like that face, but when people just look at you and go, okay, that's the look of, I've been there, I've dealt with it, I understand.
Well, and another struggle, like for us right now, my husband and I, is not laughing, because my son's like, he'll sit there and his face will get beet red and he'll start shaking, like looking at us, and we're like, because we've just chosen to sit there and just, I'll reach my arms out to him, but I don't say anything. I just let him do it. But it's like, you kind of want to laugh because it's so like ridiculous at times,
Well, I mean, my daughter had a full-on meltdown the other day because she wanted her pancake on the other side of the plate.
Yeah.
I mean, is that stupid? Yeah, it's stupid, but it's important to her.
Mm-hmm.
So this is something else I found that works. And again, it does require language. It requires some language, and that you're going to find that you can do a lot more when you get to that stage. Right now, you just need to bring a bag of tricks and pray. Like, you bring a bag. I always, with her when she was little, I had a bag of tricks, and that's what I called it. And it was literally a bag of stuff that she didn't really play with at home that I kept separated so that it was sort of like new. It was, when I pull it out, it's like, oh, right, I like that thing, but I haven't seen that in a while, So I would kind of shift stuff in and out of that bag. So, like, if she really liked something at home, then I would kind of hide it in the bag so that the next time we went out, I had it there to give it to her. And I just literally would go through the whole bag and just keep and give her. She loved books, so I just keep pulling. I'd pull out a new book, and then we'd do that, and I'd sing a song, and I'd let each activity run its course. Every activity ran its course. Once she got sick of that, oh, here's a new one right here. A snack, those portable goldfish things, you pull it out and just keep giving them something to munch on just to get through that really difficult period, because when they're going to struggle. When you go to the airport, the security line is going to be the struggle. In the plane, there's going to be some struggles. So having those things at your disposal to just to recycle through, just to get to new activity. That's the best weapon that you have, is just pulling out new distractions so that it kind of makes their brain go, oh, look, I like that. Oh, I like that too. You know what I mean? Because there's just someone really likes you, Rose. They're really excited about you. Mm-hmm. Isn't that awesome? So anyways, props to Rose. I agree.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I'll take it.
Yeah.
Yay! That's such a rare name. Rosalie is so old fashioned, but I have to say, all of the Rosalies I've ever met,
that's cute.
They're pretty awesome
cool people.
Yeah.
So for the younger ones with no language, you definitely that's so sweet. For the younger ones, just finding new distractions, playing little games, singing songs. But at the end of the day, that's not always going to work. They're still going to throw themselves down on the floor sometimes. And finding that calm inside of yourself, showing people that you're in control of it, and just kind of laughing it off is what I have found to work the best. But
yes. Well, and what's interesting, I mean, gosh, I'm a research person. I'll get on and I've never been a parent before, so I don't know anything about this parenting deal. So I research, and according to Dr. Sears, he talks about just kind of the steps you take when your child throws a temper tantrum. And I haven't gotten to this point yet with him, or maybe I have and I just didn't act on it. But he does talk about how your child can get to a point where they actually do need some physical restraint because they're so out of control that they don't know how to rein themselves back in. Right. So, recognizing, I put up a link here for you guys if you want to check it out. It's really kind of a helpful, just talking about just the steps you take. I always feel kind of funny talking to Paxton, like to my son, like, okay, I understand you're frustrated. I'm like, does he really understand me? But he does. Yeah, he does. They do understand.
And I think just saying, like, I'm here. Yeah. I'm here with you. I still love you. I mean, I do that. I did that with when she was little. I love you. I'm still here. I love you. This is really hard. You're doing a great job. Just, and even if they can hear your voice calm, I think that helps calm them down because, okay, mommy's not losing it. I'm lost my mind and she's still calm and everything's still okay. So that reassurance, I think, can really, really help as well. And, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say too, we're talking about the child. Let's talk about the parent because I'm not sure about you, but I've certainly been in situations where there was one time I was in a grocery store and my son was throwing a temper tantrum, and this woman, I was like trying to carry him and carry my groceries. She walked by and she just stopped and looked at me and she was like, get a cart. And I remember just being like, I could feel the anger like bubbling up inside of me. And I just I did. I wanted to blast her like, why don't you go get me a cart? Right. So it's kind of like, how do you,
Well, and I just said at the beginning, I went through it in my mind. If I tried to get a cart and try to wrestle her into the cart, it's going to get worse. Mm-hmm. So that's the thing. Onlookers, they don't know your kid. They don't know your kid. You know your kid. You know from experience what works better and what doesn't. So, remembering that you used to be the onlooker.
Yes.
You understand that mentality, and there are just people that think they just know what everyone should do. But,
yes, and I think like something here, like Chrissy Rose said, always bringing food, that's something it really does help. I forget to do that, but something that just in that situation, that scenario, what I've done is when he starts screaming, I just make myself do it. I just step back and I close my eyes and take a deep breath. I just do it. Because you're about to like kind of go into battle in a way. So just take a deep breath and then go through your strategies, offer them food, offer to hold them. And then honestly, like I just will kind of take a step back and then I'll try like connecting with people around me, like seeing, laughing or smiling. That's
and
what I do.
Sometimes they need space. Sometimes like people will look at you like a horrible person because you're not picking up your kid. But my kid personally, and you and I, we have very similar children. Mm-hmm. My kid needs space. Yeah. And if I try to hug her, it's going to make it worse. Mm-hmm. Sometimes it works. And it's one of those things where as the mom, you kind of get a feel for when they need a hug and when they don't. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's definitely, I think, people will look at you badly mm-hmm. when you're not picking your screaming child up. People will look at you. And I mean, I've had it happen, but I'm just like, I just look at it. You really have to get inside yourself of like, I am doing the right thing for my kid and everybody needs to step off. Mm-hmm. Like you have to find that inside of yourself. You just have to.
Well, and I will say this, just something my husband and I made a decision in the beginning was until, again, we are able to fully communicate with our son where we can have those conversations. We don't take him to certain places. We just don't. Right. We stay away from nice restaurants. We don't take him to nice restaurants. We don't take him to places where people are like, you know, I mean, sitting like in a long church service or some sort of like a service where people are listening, just like out of respect. That's just us personally. We're like, you know, until we're able to talk with him and explain where he's at, why it's important that he, you know, respect that everybody else is, you know, you go to a nice restaurant, people are paying, like they're probably on a date or celebrating a nice, so we take him to a family restaurant where there will be other kids and it's just expected, you know, and we're okay with that. That's totally fine with us too.
That's a very similar, that's, you know, we just I feel the same way. I don't want to put her in a failing situation as much as, oh my gosh, no high chair. Oh, what is wrong? Why do people like, okay, speaking of not putting your kid in a failing situation, why do these restaurants put us in a failing situation? Like, no high chairs. This went to a restaurant and didn't have high chairs. Oh my gosh. That's like, so then what did you do? You just put them in your lap. And
then they want to run around and then you everywhere.
Chase them around the restaurant the entire time. Exactly. So, I mean, my daughter cannot sit still. She really, even, it's better now because of language. But when we didn't have that, she just wouldn't sit. And as long as she wouldn't sit, as long as she couldn't sit, I didn't go. It was just, it was just so much. He went under the table and ran around. So
Well, so Chrissy Rose, you bring up such a great point. I think that your families don't realize that when you go to a public restaurant, that for the mom, it is not fun. It is not a fun experience because you end up being the one while everyone else is talking and eating their food. You are the one that ends up wrangling and wrestling and keeping everything on the table and keeping glassware out of reach and taking care of that little temper tantrum when you tell them no. And, you know, so,
and then then you end up, you scarf your food as soon as it gets there. And like, you literally need 3, and you don't even get the 3 minutes to scarf your food. So you shovel, and then you run. You know, and I know I get it. So okay, so I would like to talk a little bit. Okay. Talk about a few minutes about when your kid does have some language. There's a little baby looking here. We love Pax. Hi, sweetie. Hi.
Here he is.
Hi. So cute. I love he has this deadpan stare. He just is like, who are you?
Well, so, and speaking of temper tantrums, do you guys see this little bruise on his forehead? I don't know if any of you guys experience this with your kids, but for dramatic effect, he will sometimes bang his head on the ground.
Yep, absolutely.
Yep. And I'm like, wow.
You just, you just shot yourself in the foot. You're hurting yourself. Like, I know, but they don't. I know.
And I can tell it hurts. Like, he'll do it. He'll kind of get like and he'll look at me and he'll do it again. Like, do you see how serious I am about this? This is how serious I am.
I'm inflicting harm on myself. Like, yeah, you should probably stop. Okay, so I would like to talk as you move into more language, some things that you can do that I have found personally helpful. So I have a stepdaughter. Back in the day, I've been around since she was 3. Back in the day, it was a challenging time. We were not married when she was 3. But my husband and I have known each other well before that. We were friends in school and then reunited many years later. So he and I were very familiar with each other. It wasn't like a brand new relationship in that standpoint, but from that standpoint. But his daughter and I, of course, needed to get to know each other. So it was, and she acted this way with everyone. It wasn't just me. It wasn't like I was special. She just kind of, she had an attitude on her. And it was rough. I can't lie. It was hard. Sometimes I'm like, but I did it and I'm here and I'm still here. But I had a goal. I had an end goal in mind of this child is, she needs some guidance and she needs some help. So something that I found with her was preparing her. And it did not matter that was the 75th time that we had been to the same place and that the rules had not changed. we are still going to go through the rules every single blasted time. So even it was to the point of before we got into the car, if you cannot get your seatbelt to click, because she would do this thing where she would do the seatbelt herself on her booster seat, and she was real excited about that. If you cannot get your seatbelt to click, do not panic. We can fix that. Ask for help. So I would provide her with the strategy before we even left the house on how to deal with the car. Then we get in the car and she would use that. She would say, oh, my seatbelt's not working. Okay, I can help you with that. Let me fix that for you. So then, and then it was, all right, we're going, now the next step. Now we're going to place X. You may not scream. You may not hit. You may not yell at people. If you need something, come to us and talk to us. We will help you. If you want something, ask. You may not get it, but ask. If we say no, the answer is no. So just those ground rules, going through that with her every single time. And we had to do it every time. And her behavior was 10 times better when we went through the ground rules every time than before we started doing that. And then if she still flipped out, she knew, because from experience, I picked her butt up and we left. Like, all right, fun's over. That's it. Like, we're done. Because by this point, I guess she was around 4. And her tantrums were not, I'm tired, I'm hungry. Her tantrums were, I want this, or I want my way, or I'm telling you what to do. You're not in charge. You're not the boss of me. And it doesn't, not just talking about myself. I'm talking about her father. I'm talking about anybody who tried to tell her anything. That was her reaction, was, no, it doesn't matter what it is. Don't pick up that bowling ball. It's too heavy. I can do what I want. It was that every time. So, I got a really crash course training on keeping it, that frustration, and then taking a step back and meeting her where she was at with that. So that was fun. It was not fun at all. It was not fun. But that's what she needed. And as the more I said to her, this is fixable, I will help you. The more I said that, the more she calmed down. But it took a long time. And I think, and it takes less time when it's your child because you're there from the beginning. But it, I tell that to Lily, this is fixable. I will help you. I am on your team. We are in this together. I love you. I am trying to help you. I say that a lot. And with both girls, I've noticed a huge improvement with them, because just saying it over and over, it's like it takes a while for that to sink in. I am here helping you. I love you. I want to help you. Tell me and I will work on it with you. Now, look, if they're saying, I want to climb on the roof, I'm not going to make that happen because stupid, but I'm going to say to you, I get it. I think that looks like fun too. But you know what? If we get up on that roof, there's a real good chance that you could get very hurt. And, and no one wants you to get hurt. So it's just talking through, reminding them, if something happened to you, I would hurt forever, and when you say it that way, it's like you show them how important they are to you. I think when your kid knows how important they are, that also helps them calm down.
I think that once they get to that point of where, especially the language where that you are able, they are actually able to converse. I think your strategy is vital and incredibly effective and important. But I'm going to share this article with you guys. This was a really interesting, it's on from parents.com. And this doctor, I'm just going to, just a quick little quip I'll read. It says, he suggests that while your child, if your child is not able to verbally communicate with you at all, just to ignore them, which is really hard to do. But what he says here, this is just an interesting perspective to consider. He says, the reason this works is fascinating. During a tantrum, your child is literally out of their mind. Their emotions take over, overriding the frontal cortex of the brain, the area that makes decisions and judgments, says Dr. Hoker, MD, a Rochester, Minnesota pediatrician. That's why reasoning doesn't help. The reasoning part of this brain isn't working, says Alan. It says, once you're in a situation where someone's drowning, you can't teach them to swim. And it's the same with tantrums. There's nothing to do in the moment that will make things better. In fact, almost anything you try will make it worse. Once your child chills out, then you can talk. So I thought that was a really great. I want to share this with you guys as well, because
that's why, like I said, time out. Sometimes that's it's just giving them that space.
Yeah,
they need it sometimes. But I will disagree a little bit. I mean, I do agree at times that is helpful. And I think that's a great strategy. And when other things fail, that's what I go to. But I have had success with just, sometimes just a light touch or just a small comfort to try to reassure them that I am still here. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah. Well, it's interesting. The next point this doctor makes, and you just mentioned it, is to give your child some space, because they just need to. Yeah. But he does say to make sure there's nothing that they can harm themselves with.
Yes.
That's a really important thing. So yeah, this is, I've found this article just because, like you mentioned, every child is different. So
yes,
you really, like, you as the parent, you will know the best way to handle it. It might be kind of trial and error. You might have to try some things to figure that what works best with your child during a tantrum.
Yes. So. And that's the whole thing, is paying attention to your kid, because honestly, some children, when they flip out, some kids need a hug. Some kids, you hug them and it makes it better. And like my daughter, sometimes you just can't touch her. Like, you just gotta let it ride. So, biting. That was a big one. It is, because I know some people say, "Oh, bite them back." I don't advise that
No, because I think that biting is a very...
And then it teaches them, like, oh, well, mommy's biting me. Like,
it's okay.
I think it's confusing at that point. I've had people tell me bite them back. I've had people tell me to thump them. I've had people tell me to scream at. I've had all sorts of advice on the biting. Well,
that's super common. Biting is a super common phase that they go through. Super common. And that's a tough one, because you don't, I have memories of, like, growing up as a kid, of my neighbor boy biting me all the time. Like, some kids really take it to the extreme,
Yeah, I had the same thing. She only bit me too. I completely understand.
16 months, still pretty young. If it continues, there's all kinds of things you can do, but I would definitely let them know, like, look them in the eye and say, you don't bite. Like, that's what I do with my son. He does the same thing to me, and I'm like, you don't bite. As he gets older, we'll address that further.
I also did, when she was that little, I would go, ow.
Yeah. Make a big reaction.
A big reaction of, like, and kind of cry, like, and make a painful face. Not a happy face.
My son thinks it's funny too. He thinks same thing.
And I have a daughter, and she was the same way, y'all.
He's in that phase where, like, he'll hit our cat, and he thinks that's funny.
Yep.
I think that's a very typical.
Yep.
Also.
Yep. Yeah.
So
but it's one of those things where you kind of have to play with it to find what works for your kid, because I know with her, the ow ended up that worked really well. But the first time I did it, it didn't. But I had to stick with it. And then, like, it kind of hit her when, like, the me crying thing. She all of a sudden was like, and then it, like, dawned on her that I was not happy. So that was a big one for the biting. But I thumped her. Yeah, it's age. My daughter's 3 and she still pulls the dog's tail. Time out, be damned. She still pulls the dog's tail. But yeah, I think people told me to thump her. I tried that. It didn't work. I tried, like, I went through a phase, periods of time of trying different strategies. And,
well, according to this article right here, the big response that, ouch, that really hurts, mommy, is that, pulls the dog's tail. That is definitely going to be the theme of upcoming blog is toddlers and pets, because we're going through that right now, big time. That's a tough one because so that'll be a future one for sure.
Yeah, we have the same issue. We have a dog, and she loves the dog, but man, we get out of her face. That is not how we love the dog. That is not how we love the dog. Oh God.
So let's wrap up.
Yeah. So wait, Rose, I don't know if we can hear you anymore.
Oh, I just muted for that purpose.
Because sure, no problem. I can't believe mine hasn't run in here yet. I'm shocked. I'm shocked that I haven't gotten interrupted. It's like right on the calendar. So anyways, I think to wrap up, personally as the parent, making sure, and you're not perfect, you're not going to react perfectly every time, you got to cut yourself the slack of, I am a human being with real emotions, and I'm showing up doing my best. And when you don't, when your best doesn't measure up to what you want your best to be, finding that compassion for yourself to say, gosh, I didn't do that as well as I would have liked. And, I've even said that to both of them. I've said, look, I didn't do that very well. Can I try again? And you'd be surprised. Your kid reacts well to, can I try again? And I know that requires language, but even a little kid of saying, you can just say it to them. Mommy screwed up. I'm sorry. I still love you. And I know they can't respond, but you'd be surprised how much they understand, even when they're that little. And just the words can make a difference. But that being said, staying calm, finding, like, you physically take a step back. I don't have to physically take that step back, but in my body, I do. Inside of my body, I like physically separate myself from the frustration and the feelings. I just go, okay. And it's like, I recognize my feeling. And then I go, all right, let's respond. Let's not react, So it's taking a step back inside of yourself. And you know what? It's hard, but you cannot let other people's looks and judgments and hateful comments control how you parent your child. Because again, your kid and they don't. So, it doesn't require a confrontation necessarily. Sometimes it might, but, I mean, a respectful, like, I've got this. I understand. I've got this.
Yeah, exactly. And thank goodness it's a passing phase.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank goodness it's a phase that, what if we still threw temper tantrums? Can you imagine what kind of a world this would be if as adults we still just threw, there are some people out there that probably throw temper tantrums, but I just want to say,
as a parent, sometimes that's an effective strategy when your kid's older is to mirror the behavior. Your kid's screaming and hollering. I've thrown myself in the floor and screamed and hollered right beside her.
Yeah, just make sure that your partner isn't like secretly taking a video of you or something that they can like post on Facebook or whatnot.
I was lucky because this is a long time ago, so it wasn't as prevalent like that back then. But when there were several times at 4 and 5, she threw herself on the floor. So I just threw myself on the floor right beside her. And it shocks them. They're like, you look stupid. That's what she said. She said, you look stupid. I'm like, yes, I'm doing exactly what you're doing. What do you think that means? And she's like, I look stupid. Yes, that's where we're going. Let's get up off the floor, shall we? So, you just have to be willing. You have to be willing to take the stairs. You just have to sometimes. Parenting is not for the weak, y'all.
No.
It's not. And and that kid today does not throw fits. She skipped a grade in school. We have really good communication. She comes to us when stuff is going wrong. We're in those preteen years, which is scary, by the way, y'all. I'm terrified for the next few years. But we have a good relationship, and we got through it. And those strategies that were hard, that strangers gave me bad looks for, guess what? They're working. So, you know, she knows to come to us. She knows she can talk to us. She trusts us. And we don't have that disrespect or any of that going on anymore. So, you know, it's just, this is a marathon. This is not a sprint. You have to keep that. It is a long game, and you want to win the game, not that one little match. You know, like you're going for the long haul. So
agreed. Well, hey, Chrissy and Nikki, thank you so much for joining us today.
Actually, we have quite a few others that are not.
Oh,
yeah.
Awesome.
But everybody here, yes, thank you so much for joining us. And do you want to open it up maybe? Are there any questions or does anybody have a differing
or
opinion?
Comments or advice
anything.
or yes, feel
We'd
free
love to hear from you if you want to. I'm gonna count to like 30 in my mind.
Yes. Otherwise, our next blab, we will be every other Friday and at 9:30 a.m. Eastern time. And our next topic is good one.
Our next topic is, and I haven't settled on like a perfect title for this yet, but our next topic is dealing with constant touching. And not just even from your pets, my dog and between the dog and the child and the husband and it's just, someone is constantly touching me or it's not even the touch, it's pulling. It's the pulling and just, I go to use my hand and someone's hanging on me and it's like, where did you even come from? I just want to, why?
Yes. So that will be our next topic. So
so coping strategies to keep your patience. For me, I struggle keeping my patience when someone is pulling on me constantly. The button for me. So this is more cathartic than anything, but maybe I would love to get some tips from people as well on that one.
Yes. And unfortunately, I'm going to have to jump off. It is silent, which means my son's probably in the litter box right now. So I'd better go. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, thank you so much.